You know, there's a question that keeps so many of us up at night as we get older. Where will I spend my golden years? It's not just about comfort or convenience. It's about dignity, independence, and the kind of life we truly want to live. Maybe you've had this conversation with your family already, sitting around the kitchen table, voices hushed, but minds racing. Or maybe you've pushed it aside, thinking, I'll figure it out later, I'm still doing fine. But here's the hard truth. Later has a way of arriving faster than we expect, and when it does, many seniors find themselves facing a choice they never fully prepared for. Do I move into a nursing home, or do I stay in my own home as long as possible? Now, at first glance, the answer might seem obvious. Who wouldn't want to stay in their own house, surrounded by their own things, their memories, the life they've built? But the reality? It's far more complicated than that. There are real challenges and real regrets on both sides of this decision. The loneliness factor, a hidden epidemic. Let's start with something that catches so many people off guard. Loneliness. You might assume that moving into a nursing home means you'll always have company, right? Meals with others, bingo nights, staff checking in on you. But here's the painful truth many don't realize until it's too late. Institutional loneliness is a real and devastating thing. Yes, you're surrounded by people, but they're not your people. The friends you've known for decades, the neighbors who pop over unannounced just to chat, the grandkids who used to run through your living room. Those connections often fade when you move into a facility. And while staff may be kind, they're also stretched thin. You might find yourself sitting in a hallway for hours, waiting for someone to simply talk to you. Now, contrast that with aging at home. You'd think staying put means staying socially connected, right? But here's the catch. If you don't have family nearby, or if mobility becomes an issue, you could end up more isolated than you ever imagined. The phone stops ringing as much. Visitors become fewer and farther between. And before you know it, days go by where the only voice you hear is the TV. And here's what's really frightening. Isolation isn't just hard emotionally. Studies show it's linked to faster cognitive decline, higher risks of depression, even weaker immune systems. So the real question isn't just where you'll live, but how you'll keep those vital connections strong, no matter which path you choose. The loss of control when independence slips away. Now let's talk about something even more personal. Control. One of the biggest regrets we hear from seniors in nursing homes is the slow, steady loss of autonomy. Suddenly, your daily routine isn't yours anymore. Meals are served at set times, whether you're hungry or not. Baths are given on someone else's schedule. Even your bedtime might be dictated by shift changes. For someone who's spent a lifetime making their own decisions, raising a family, building a career, running a household, that loss of independence can feel like a punch to the gut. One woman told me, I spent 80 years deciding when to eat my dinner, and now I have to wait until 5 p.m. sharp or go hungry. But here's the flip side. Staying at home only works if you have the right support. Maybe you're thinking, I'll just manage on my own like I always have. But what happens if you fall and can't reach the phone? What if cooking becomes too difficult, or your medications get too complicated to manage alone? The truth is, aging at home successfully means planning ahead, having help lined up, whether it's family, hired caregivers, or community services. Because without that, you might technically be at home, but you could still lose control in other ways, relying on emergency calls, struggling with daily tasks, or even facing pressure from worried kids to just move somewhere safer. The financial shock, what no one warns you about. And then there's the issue that leaves so many seniors and their families stunned. Cost. A lot of people assume Medicare will cover a nursing home, but here's the reality. It only pays for short-term rehab in most cases, like after a hospital stay. Long-term care, that's almost always out of pocket unless you qualify for Medicaid, and that process can be a maze of paperwork and heartache. Now, let's talk numbers. The average nursing home costs $8,000. $8,000, $10,000 a month. Yes, a month. And that's for a shared room. Want a private one? Add another $1,000, $1,000 and $2,000. For many families, that means burning through a lifetime of savings in just a few years. But here's where it gets even trickier. Staying at home isn't free either. Home modifications, grab bars, ramps, stair lifts, can cost thousands. A part-time caregiver runs $25, $35 an hour. Meal deliveries, medical alert systems, transportation, it all adds up. The key? Plan early. Because if you wait until a crisis hits, a fall, a stroke, a sudden decline, you could be forced into a decision you're not ready for with options you don't want. What really matters? It's more than just location. Now, before we go any deeper, because yes, there's so much more to unpack, I want you to pause and think. What matters most to you? Is it staying close to family, maintaining your daily routines, having 24/7 medical care nearby? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a practical decision, it's a deeply personal one. One man told me, "I chose a nursing home because I didn't want to burden my kids. Now I realize I'd rather be a burden and see my grandkids every day than be inconvenient and lonely." Another woman said, "I stayed home too long. I didn't want to admit I needed help, and one day I fell and broke my hip. After that, I had no choice. I had to move. I wish I'd made the decision on my terms." These stories matter. They're the voices of people who've lived this choice, and their regrets or their relief can guide us. So in the next part, we'll dig even deeper into the hidden emotional costs of both options, the things families don't always say out loud. We'll look at real-life stories, the warning signs that it's time to make a change, and most importantly, how to make the best decision for you, not out of fear or pressure, but with clarity and confidence, because when it comes to where you'll spend your later years, you deserve to choose, not just settle. You know, when we talk about nursing homes versus aging at home, most conversations focus on the practical stuff, costs, medical care, safety. But what about the emotional toll? The quiet heartbreaks, the unspoken regrets, the things families don't always admit until it's too late? That's what we're diving into today. Because while spreadsheets and floor plans matter, they don't tell the whole story, not even close. The guilt that haunts families. Let's start with something painfully common. Guilt. I've heard it 100 times. Adult children saying, "I promised Mom I'd never put her in a home," while their elderly parent whispers, "I don't want to be a burden." Here's the truth no one says out loud. There's guilt no matter what you choose. Choose a nursing home, you'll lie awake wondering if you betrayed their trust. Keep them at home? You'll panic every time they're alone, wondering if today's the day they fall. And for the seniors themselves? The guilt cuts deeper. One woman, Margaret, 82, told me, "I see how exhausted my daughter is, working full-time, driving me to appointments, missing her kids' soccer games. I love being home, but is it worth her health, her marriage?" Meanwhile, in nursing homes, I've met sons and daughters who visit daily, riddled with shame. I should have done more, they say, even when their parents' needs far exceeded what any untrained person could handle. Here's what I've learned from decades of these conversations. Guilt isn't a sign you made the wrong choice. It's a sign you care. The goal isn't to avoid guilt. It's to make decisions before crisis forces your hand, so guilt doesn't poison the time you have left together. The slow erosion of identity. Now let's talk about something even more invisible. How where you live changes who you are. In nursing homes, no matter how nice the facility, routines are designed for efficiency, not individuality. Your favorite armchair? Gone. Your habit of eating oatmeal at 10 a.m.? Overruled by the dining hall schedule. Over time, you stop hearing, "Mr. Johnson, who rebuilt that antique clock," and start hearing, room 214 who needs his meds. But here's what shocked me. The same thing can happen at home. When arthritis makes it too hard to garden, when dementia means you can't cook your famous meatloaf anymore, you lose pieces of yourself. One man told me, "My wife and I used to host Thanksgiving for 20 people. Now my kids do it for my safety. I'm grateful, but I'm not the patriarch anymore. I'm a guest in my own life." The real challenge? Fighting to keep who you are alive, no matter where you live. That might mean in a facility, personalizing your space with photos, insisting on keeping your morning crossword ritual. At home, adapting traditions, grandkids. Bake with you now instead of you doing it all. The myth of waiting until it's necessary. This might be the most dangerous assumption of all. We'll move mom when she really needs it. Here's why that backfires. Crisis decisions are traumatic. Imagine hospital discharge papers in your hand with 48 hours to choose a nursing home. No tours, no research, just panic. The best facilities have wait lists. The places with gardens, activities, and good staff, they're full. What's available last minute? Often what no one else wanted. Your body adjusts better when you choose. Studies show seniors who actively participate in the transition adjust better than those forced into it. A nurse once told me, "The happiest residents. They're the ones who moved in before they were desperate. They made friends, learned the routines, and kept some control." The hidden key, hybrid options. Now, here's what gives me hope. This isn't an all-or-nothing choice anymore. Innovative solutions are bridging the gap. Assisted living apartments, private spaces, with emergency pull cords and optional meal plans. Adult day programs, social activities, and medical supervision, but you sleep at home. Villages, neighborhood networks where seniors share caregivers and resources. One couple in their 70s told me their solution. "We bought a condo near our daughter, hired a college student for errands, and use a meal delivery service. We're independent, but not isolated." What's next? The turning point. No one sees coming. We've covered the emotional landmines, but how do you actually make this decision without regrets? That's where most guides stop, but we're just getting to the most important part. In the next part, we'll reveal the 5 warning signs. It's time to reconsider your living situation. Hint, it's not just about health. How to have the talk with family without tears or tantrums. The one document that prevents 90% of crises. And no, it's not a will. Most importantly, we'll tackle the biggest question of all. How do you know which choice is right for you? Not your neighbor, not your sister, but you. Because here's what I want you to remember today. There's no perfect answer, but there is a right for you answer. And that's what we'll find together. Let's be honest. By now, you might be feeling overwhelmed. The costs, the guilt, the fear of losing yourself in the process. It's enough to make anyone want to hit pause and just hope things work out. But here's what I've learned from hundreds of seniors who've walked this road before you. The ones with the fewest regrets didn't avoid the decision. They faced it early, with their eyes wide open. So today, we're cutting through the noise and giving you the tools to make this choice on your terms. No panic, no pressure, just clarity. The 5 warning signs you can't ignore. Most people wait for a crisis, a bad fall, a missed medication, a dementia episode before they act. But by then, your options shrink dramatically. Here's how to spot the subtle red flags before disaster strikes. The mail test. Are bills piling up unopened? Medications mismanaged? This isn't just about forgetfulness. It's a sign your daily systems are failing. One retired banker told me, "I used to balance ledgers for a living. When I started hiding overdue notices under the couch, I knew something was wrong." The grocery story. Spoiled food in the fridge, empty cabinets, or losing weight without trying. Nutrition is often the first domino to fall. A daughter confessed, "Mom swore she was cooking, but we found takeout containers buried in the trash. She was too proud to admit she couldn't handle the stove anymore. The isolation index. When was the last time you had a real conversation, not just a check-in call, but a belly laugh, with someone who gets you? Social withdrawal isn't just loneliness, it accelerates decline. A nursing home resident admitted, "I said no to visitors for a year because I was ashamed of my messy house. By the time I said yes, they'd stopped asking." The nighttime fear. Are you avoiding water after 7 p.m. so you won't risk a bathroom trip? Skipping pain meds to stay alert? Fear shouldn't dictate your routines. An 84-year-old who fell told me, "I laid there for hours, too embarrassed to call. 911. Now I sleep with a phone around my neck like a necklace." The family tell. Watch their body language when they visit. Do they spend half the time tidying up or having hushed kitchen conferences? That's not help. It's rehearsed concern. One man realized the truth when my grandkids started calling. My house, Grandpa's museum, like it was a place to visit, not live. The talk that doesn't end in tears. You know the conversation needs to happen, but how? Most families make two mistakes. The ambush. We've decided you're moving next month. The dance. So, have you thought about maybe possibly? Here's the script that works. Anchor it in love. Mom, we need to talk about how to keep you safe and happy for the long haul. This isn't about taking anything away, it's about making sure you have the best of everything for years to come. Make it a collaboration. Let's brainstorm options together. What's most important to you? What scares you? Nothing's decided yet. We're just gathering information. Use third-party wisdom. A geriatric care manager, 150, 150, 300 for a home assessment, becomes the expert voice, not the bad guy. One family told their dad, "Let's have the nurse come by just to tell us what's possible. Then we'll know our options." The document that changes everything. Forget wills and trusts for a moment. The most powerful paper in your folder should be the when-then plan. When I can no longer cook safely, then we'll try meal deliveries for 3 months. When I've had 2 falls in a year, then we'll tour assisted living facilities. Why it works. Removes emotion from crisis decisions. Gives kids permission to act without guilt. Lets you set your own benchmarks. A dementia specialist told me, "The best plans I've seen include a line like, 'When I stop recognizing my granddaughter, that's the line.'" It's heartbreaking, but it's clarity. The ultimate question, what does better look like? At the end of all this, here's what matters. Not what's the safest option, but what's the best life I can have. For some, that's trading a big house for a senior community with art classes and day trips. Hiring a caregiver, 3 hours a day to keep gardening and cooking. Moving near grandkids, even if it means leaving a beloved hometown. A woman's epiphany. I realized staying independent didn't mean doing everything myself. It meant having the power to choose my help. Your next step before you go. This isn't goodbye, it's see you in the comments. Tell me, what surprised you most today? What's your non-negotiable for your later years? Because here's the truth, no video can give. Your story isn't written yet. The seniors with the fewest regrets aren't the ones who had perfect solutions. They're the ones who kept writing new chapters. So hit like if this helped, subscribe for more real talk about aging, no sugarcoating. And remember, the best choice isn't nursing home or home. It's the one where you feel seen, safe, and still yourself.